strong men, although different statures. I mean, my small grandfather weighed 100 pounds. He could rip a deck of cards in half. My big grandpa, he could lift up two calves, incredibly strong. My dad had fantastic cardio. He was running around in the 70s when nobody else even knew what running was. And I have to tell you, consistently, my labs are fantastic. Cholesterol, blood sugar, liver function, kidney function, everything is just bang on. So, we can look about what our bad genes we got, but I'd like to focus on what our good ones are. And of course, incredible at-home support with my family. So my journey, we have two cohorts. Some were diagnosed very, very early. That was me. I had cloth diabetes, and they turned brown. I had an older brother, and they didn't. So my mom went take you, and a lot of people. I don't know, perhaps you, Brenda, you discovered this sort of late in life, and you and it was a later discovery. Yeah, yeah. So, we all have our own little path. I thought I was on a great path because in early 2019, I was 53. I had no surgeries on the horizon. And I had everything else going for me. I had a good diet. My wife's an incredible cook, and I got a low BMI. I had, because of just I enjoy staying healthy, so my condition was great. I had a background in sports and physiology. I trained in kinesiology. I played competitive water polo. I can competitive swimming, competitive long distance swimming. So clearly, I'm also one of those guys that has a very positive mental attitude. Next slide. So that was what my plan was. I want to be the oldest person in the entire world, never have a joint replaced. But please, next slide. I love this saying that when the humans plan, the gods laugh. So Hannah, you can just sort of tap through this right now. So next slide, please. This is 2019. Right knee, next. 2020. Left knee, 2021. Right shoulder, 2022. Left shoulder, here's 2020. Next slide, 2024. That's right hip. And then we're into the spring of 2025 when I had my left hip replaced. So I guess when you look at it that way, I've had six joint replaced. I've lost 4 inches in spine height. I've both of my Achilles tendons have been ruptured, and I've lost about 30 pounds in bone muscle mass. And I also managed to finish Netflix, which I think that's probably a positive thing. Uh, so, anyways, you can look at that. It says my picture right now. Please have the next slide. But that's and I can see you sort of saying like, really, Jim. So you've been doing this hot tub yoga. How's it working out for you? Because you think after all those replacements, it's probably not exactly the right thing for me. Next slide, Hannah. What I really want to talk to you is I mean, instead of my clinical stat, I want to tell you what my social status is. And what that means is that I'm teaching Aquafit weekly. I'm back in the pool teaching people and helping them. I'm golfing competitively for money 3 times a week. Back to gardening and landscaping, which I love. I can walk 20 kilometers and anything. I had rapid return to my to my normal activities right after the surgery, but spine. And I want to mention this one thing because, it's happened to me twice in two of my operations. And one, just when they're manipulating and moving around on the operating room, because of my experience in the OR, I sort of see how people are handled. And they broke a rib once, and that sort of has never really healed up. And then in my last surgery, when I woke up from the anesthesia, my pain I was incredible pain and discomfort. And it took a long time for actually to recover from that spine issue. Next slide, please. But I want to stress though that Aquafit can do wonderful things. And next slide. I mean, of course, your results might vary, but you can feel that way. That's the way you feel when you're exercising. So, what are my catalysts though? I had all these joint issues. I've been prescribed 2.5 hours of physio, which who can do that? But since I was going to the pool anyways, and I believe that the pool could help me combine my workouts. I worked with Dr. Perry, the wonderful Dr. Perry at the NIH, and also a local kinesiologist, and she helped me build a water-based program. Um, one of the other things that's popped up with me is osteopenia. I've got I have, quite brittle bones, and that puts me at a fracture risk. And so I want to do things that are going to avoid that. But of course, in mentally, I want to look a way to gain control. I enjoyed working. I enjoyed being active and busy. And after retirement with disability, I was, I wasn't a patient. I didn't feel like a patient. And so I thought, what a top opportunity. I'm going to formalize my background that I have in swimming. And I became certified to start teaching, as I said, swimming and this aquatic-based fitness, which is what I really, really am passionate about. Um, well, and that's the thing. One student knows a student, so we can always learn, Brendan. That's just a wonderful thing. We can always get in. We can always learn anything you want to learn. It's right there online. Thank you. So let's talk about warm water through the ages. You can see that warm water has been naturally occurring throughout the earth for a long time. We have magma, we have these faults that form with hot water, and then with the heat, you get pressure, and that pushes the hot water back up to the ground, and you get steam. Next slide, please. We know from the records, though, that ancient hot tub actually started with the cavemen, and we've seen these cave drawings in several locations around the earth where spring actually. No, that's just ChatGPT. Um, It started. We do have written records that back in 600 BC, though, where one of the kings in Egypt had used hot rocks to heat up a cauldron of water. I think that he actually had some hot springs envy, though. He probably should have built his temper closer to a nice natural hot tub. Next slide. Um, Traditional Asian methods. It was something that the Asians found that they want to help align your key flow so that you can have the body aiding and healing. And you see in the lower left here, here's some pictures of some natural hot springs that occur in the mountains north of Taipei. And I've had a chance to go up there, and it's just wonderful and relaxing. It's very busy. People love it up there. Hippocrates. Yeah, I love the way he looked at his life. He said if you didn't start the day with a scented bath and and a nice massage, then why bother getting out of bed? So I love the way he thinking. And of course the Romans there, who we really are synonymous with this, and the word spa is sanus per aquam. That means healing by or through water. And what I really like about the Romans is that they had a way to socialize the whole healing through water thing. They didn't make it a single solitary event. It's an opportunity for people to get together and they can sort of talk about the problem. Say, hey, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. So that's where the real therapy began. Next slide. And of course, we see that this is a chance that I had to go into a spa in Tuscany, and I mean this water was incredible. It had its minerals in it, and you could rub it on you. It was very, very lovely. So I've made it a habit to go to hot tubs and hot springs anywhere around the world. Next slide. Including Bath, England, where we had a chance to visit last year. And Dr. William Oliver, back in 1707, said that if it can't be cured by drinking and bathing, it simply can't be cured. And I think that was one thing that helps us go forward. So, anyways, I know it's exciting. I hope I've got you excited here. But before you get going, I want you to determine what your personal goals are. So a personal goal, first of all, we have to have something that is realistic, right? What do we want to achieve? It's no sense it's not a shotgun approach. We want goals that are smart. They're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and we have some sort of a time constraint that we want to get there in a certain amount of time. Now, always seek medical advice before starting a new exercise program. That's really important. They teach us all in all the classes I've taken. We always circle back to that, and that's what I want to stress with you. However, if you are engaging your healthcare professionals, they are actually a great sounding board. And as you go back for your appointments, they're going to say, "Hey, how's it been going with these goals? Are you walking further? Have you found that you can, get down close to touching past your knees now?" Little things like that. So your healthcare professionals are really happy to work with you. And next slide. But that's important. Whatever the lowest barrier it is to get you started, find it and get started. Thank you. So, and it's possible that you have already started. I mean, all these things that we can do just within the house, vacuuming, gardening, laying in bed, watching TV. Do you remember what I was telling you about your shoulder exercises that we're doing? Rolling our shoulders back, put them in the back pocket again. Let's everyone do that again. Roll them back, put it in the back pocket. Just watching TV, every time a commercial comes on, just remind yourself, do one of those. Lock those shoulders back down again. Okay? Lying in bed, really simple. All you can do, laying on your back, raising your leg straight up with your toe slightly turned out, activates the muscle on the inside of your leg, which is what tracks your patella knee, and it's going to help you eliminate any pain that going downhill. That's where you get that going downhill comes from. Next slide, please. Takes 4 weeks, and you sort of have to stick to it, but start easy and just make sure you get going. Now, if I'm convinced you that an aquatic situation is good for you, well, then let's help you find one that's best for you. So I know we have local pools everywhere. Some of them may be lucky enough to belong to health clubs, but we can even do this at our in the outdoor pool, like I have, like here in my spa, or you can do it on the beach. You can do it in a river. You can do it on the beach. Anything that gives you a little bit of water. And I'll tell you why in a second. Thing I like about local pools, though, is that it gives you access to group classes and qualified instructors. And it also puts you into that social environment that we're talking about with the Romans. And I'll tell you, there was another big thing about the key is that we have the best music. So that's one of the things that I love looking at all my people and love seeing everybody laughing and smiling and singing along. So let's reiterate what kept me going and what made me not give up. And it's simple. I found that I was recovering from my joint replacements really, really quick. I found after the first knee, I'm back in the golf course in 3 months. I'm asking my doc when I golf. She says, right now, you're good to go. And that was consistent all the way along. So, after 6 replacements, you kind of pay attention and think, okay, well, maybe this is working out really, really well for me. Next slide, please. Now, lots of people have modesty as a barrier of entry. We don't like the way we look in bathing suits, or we have personal things, and so that's something that's going to stop you from going into the pool right to begin with. But I want to tell you, please go out and at least investigate. Go into the change rooms. You'll find that they have lots of change rooms. They have lots of facilities to allow you free modesty. Look at the classes. You're going to see all sorts of different body types and all sorts of different bathing wear, and nobody cares. We're out there. You're there because you're going to have fun. It's going to be enjoyable. Next slide. Also, people wonder, well, how do I get in there? Well, I want to stress local pools, they're mandated. They have to have options to allow people with disabilities the ability to get in and out of water. If you see the next slide, it doesn't really matter what country, America, Canada, this is UK, India, all these have rights for that municipal facilities such as pools have to follow to allow access for everybody. Next slide. Now, buoyancy is really the big reason that we get in the water. Next slide, please. 50% of our body weight is actually taken off as soon as we get into water up to our hips and we're about 4 feet of water. That's our magic number right there. In that 4 feet of water with half of our weight, we have this ability to just balance a little bit better and we can do better exercises. Also, it helps with circulation. Just, anyone's gone underwater a little bit feels that pressure on the ears. Well, imagine what that's doing to your diastolic blood pressure and your venous blood supply. It's just incredible at pushing everything back and up to the heart and getting everything turning around. Next slide. Well, I can't say this enough. I mean, our joints just love being in the water. They love that support. They love the pressure that it sort of puts on us, and it just makes us feel really nice and comfortable. I love it. Now, remember our shoulders. We've been doing our shoulders. Let's get back there. We roll them back again. Can we do that again, please? Can we hold them down? Now, was it a little bit different that time? Was it a little bit easier? You sort of had a little bit of muscle memory that time to go back to that because, well, we've woken those muscles up. They've been sleeping. They weren't doing anything. And so we just woke them back up again. Next slide, please. So I want to talk here. This is the mind-body connection, and this is sort of something that we always forget about because our movement happens so naturally. But really, it's a very, very complicated system. It involves we have to start with the sense that we want to get going. But then once we say, okay, we're going to get going, we got to look around. Our body says, well, where are we? Where are we? And then with the cerebral system says, okay, well, we're going this way. So let's do what we do to make everything go smooth and not herky jerky and everything like that. And also keeps us sort of back on track is what we're usually doing. There's the vestibular system. There's one more slide, please. That's right. This is our focus. So this is what based on our habitual tasks, and this is sort of where we memorize things that we do every day. So every day we don't have to automatically think, okay, now how do I get out of bed? How do I go to the bathroom? Where is the bathroom? And then finally, what gets everything together is the vestibular system. It's the small ear, things that are within our ears, and this is just keeps us balanced, helps us stay upright. Next slide, please. This is a very simple feedback mechanism showing exactly what happens when you go to reach for a cup of coffee. The only interesting thing missing in this is that they miss that your body would actually sense whether or not the coffee cup is hot or not. And it would also give you another sensory reaction there. But that just shows you the feedback we're looking at. Next slide. I like to think of it more of as a conductor. You don't have this The brain is orchestrating all these things that are moving around you. Next slide. But eventually, what they're just working back in that each individual person in the orchestra corresponds to a part of your body. Next slide. This is a new thing that we didn't talk about last time that I really want to share with you and about what's happening when we have arthritis, especially with AKU. What is happening with the joint? We hear all about how the cartilage is changing in its composition with the due to ochronosis, but we don't really hear about what's happening with the brain. Now, when pain is being received in a joint, the body wants to try to reduce further energy injury. And so what it does is it slows down some of the muscles. It stops activating some of the muscles. And that's what causes us to limp because we don't have full access to all the muscles that are involved doing a normal procedure like gait, for example. And the other things that happens is that the bone actually starts to produce little bony osteocytes. It starts to try and sort of re-become it tries to almost autofuse in itself because it no longer can function as a functioning joint. And I want to say that this is something that we can overcome. And this is a secret that I found with our hot tub yoga. And that is that a good prehab leads to an outstanding rehab. And in the water, you can work these joints, you can work these specific muscles, you can target them, and you can get those connections going so that when you're given your prehab operation at post-op, these are simple. You go, oh, well, my muscle's already there. I've already done that. Instead of having to start the process from the beginning and try to get everything reestablished. Next slide, please. So 3 stages in the muscle recovery. The first one that we did when I first had to do the shoulders back, that was the cognition. And we're first trying, oh, you haven't used those ones. We were slow, we were moving it back. And then the next time I asked you to do it, that was our associative phase. That's where you think, okay, yeah, I remember getting the back pocket, but this time he said, hold it. Okay, so I'm going to try to hold it more. And you hold it more. And you start feeling a few more muscles. You start recruiting a few more muscles in your shoulder girdle. And then finally, it's the autonomous phase, which is just simply, hey, we're back. We've restored ourselves back to our normal function. Next slide. So I want you to go. We remember those shoulders. They were there. Balance basics. This is very, very important. I teach this every day. We always do balance work in my classes. Balance is such a delicate system. It coordinates everything, but it needs to be practiced, and we can lose these senses. We see many, many seniors that have this sway. They're going like this whenever they're trying to stand, and they're swaying. And it's simply that they sort of lost touch with their vestibular system. The next slide, please. This is a really important thing here. Risk of fall. All of our healthcare professionals, when we're first being assessed in the hospital, they're going to ask us, what is your risk of falling? Because that leads to much, much more severe outcomes. And so I can't begin to say how much we have to just do little simple things all the time. And I gave you some sample exercises here. Just a straight leg lift where you're just lifting your leg up, just lifting that leg up. But and I said walking like a model, or it's also the drunk driver test, which is where you walk heel to toe, heel to toe, heel to toe. Wonderful for helping your body reconnect with everything as the furthest part of your body, which is your feet. And then something like just chair assisted squats, just having some to balance, going up and down, working your glutes, just small movements. Next slide, please. But I want to say the water is such a safe place to practice this balance. You get all the benefits, and the worst that can happen is you get your hair wet if you fall over. Next slide. Now, this is very important. When you're practicing in the water availability, we teach certain things to move your feet in odd directions, in different directions. And those are the movements that you use in stumble recovery. So when you're stumbling, you need to move your foot quickly to recover. If you don't have the mind-body connection working, and if you don't have your muscles in great shape, it's just so much harder to try and recover from this. And so balance is all about stumble recovery. Next slide, please. Something else that we didn't talk about in Liverpool last time was just simply about how physical activity is very, very critical to maintain your bone and your muscle density. Wolff's Law is something that I learned a lot when I was in the dental business. When you pull a tooth, all of a sudden the bone all around it goes away because the body says, well, there's nothing supporting that we don't need that bone anymore. Let's put our work somewhere else. I love the astronaut example. They lose 1 to 2% of their bone mass in 1 month up in space. Anybody that's osteoporotic has been told by their doctors that you have to get out there, you have to walk, you have to do gravity assisted load bearing things. And then there's this mechanical transduction, which is something that's a new concept to me, but boy, it really makes sense because instead of just using the downward pressure of gravity, it's the movement of any pulling that's going on the tendons and the muscles and where the tendons attach to the bone. And that in itself is telling the bone that, hey, we're exercising, we're working, we're going to recruit more stuff to build our bones. Next slide, please. Next slide.
It doesn't want to move, bear with.
Oh, okay. All right. No,
It was
that's fine. We
just,
got it.
I was pressing it and it didn't want to do what I wanted it to do, so hopefully it will do it this time.
Um, as I said, I wish this was a magic elixir, but we have to be aware of some of the limitations of aquatic exercise. I've been in contact with this professor in Australia where she did the Lift More project, and this is wonderful because it's not often yet incredibly well controlled studies, but this is where she took a group of postmenopausal women. She put them through some high strength stimuli, and I'll talk to you about what those are in a second. But she found a 2 to 3% increase in bone mass after 8 months, after 2 sessions of 30 minutes a week. The control group had all their bone mass go down. So this works. I mean, this is well controlled. This is proven. This is what we can start doing. We start losing our bone mass and our muscle mass at 30. So the sooner we get going back on again, the sooner we can get steady. Next slide there. What I do want to say is that some of the things we were doing in the hot tub, it was good for we can do in the hot tub. However, there's a couple of things that are hard to do. One of the things they did in this exercise, they jumped up, grabbed a bar, pulled up, and then dropped to the ground. Now, I can't think about doing that with my spine. Even a 2 inch drop, I couldn't imagine that. But so that was very, very important. And of course, and there's also doing overhead presses. And overhead presses are sort of hard to do. You can't get your weights in the hot tub. We do little things with water bottles, and we can do a little bit of isolation that way. But those are things that are hard to do with the study and hard for me to do in the hot tub. But as long as you're aware of that, that's fine. Just get your steps in, and you're doing wonderful. Now, of course, there's other things that are going to affect what our muscle and bone mass is. And basically, it's what we're born with. I talked about our genes. Well, some people are big bones, some people are fine bones, some people have fast muscle, some have slow muscle. There's disease and just age, which can change that disuse. That's something I keep circling it back about because when we're sore, we don't really want to move. Diet can have a big effect on this. If we're a diet that's short in calcium, vitamin D, that'll affect your bone. Alcohol, I wasn't aware, but I'm starting to learn now, can affect your bone mass. And there's also medications that can affect it. But most importantly, there's also medications like the bisphosphonates that can help and get us to regain our bone mass. And I want to tell you, bone mass, this is all related in our ability to resist fractures. We're going to have some falls. We're going to have some stumbles. The more we do for our bone mass, the more we're going to prevent having a serious issue and just have a bruise. And we'll take a bruise over a broken bone any day. So good form. I always got to talk about this because it's part of what I'm talking about with our shoulder blades. We just have to keep reminding ourselves what our form is. So what about our shoulder blades? We want them in the back pocket. What about our stomach? Down and in. I'm sorry, that's our belly. Our butt. Well, whenever we're sitting, we want to try and sit on our bum bone. If you kind of fit, there's a couple of bones on the bottom of our butt, and that's where we should be sitting. Because when we're sitting on our butt bone, then the ears and the shoulders and the hips are all aligned. And then, of course, when we're sitting on our butt bone, it also allows us to open up our chest and we can breathe. And then now we can move with purpose from a good starting position. 5 Bs. Form is critical. And when we're trying to reactivate our muscles, when we're trying to reawaken these muscles that have become into misuse, then we want to have good form so we can actually target the muscle we're trying to get. And indeed, practice does make perfect in this sense. Now here's a little test for you if you want, just to do a little lat test. I love to do this one. I do this with everybody. So what I'd like you to do is just when you bring your shoulder up towards your ear like this a little bit. Put your hand out and then feel sort of under here. Just grab yourself. Can you sort of grab under here? And you can feel it's kind of thick, it's kind of limpy, it's kind of weak. Now what I want you to do is press the shoulder down. And as you press this, do you see how it gets thicker and stronger and meatier in there? Up here, our shoulders have a tendency to slack. This is our latissimus, this is our teres major, and it's the one muscle that goes against gravity and we slip up here. But this is where we get shoulder impingement. This is where we get this pinching. This is where we get the move. We got to get the shoulders down. So that's why I talk. That's why it's very important. And we know that lat test, not effective, ineffective. Very simple. That's why shoulders down. Next slide, please. Now, I can't stress this enough. AKU can become a cardiac disease that happens to have a skeletal component. We always look at it the other way around. We know what happens with our heart valves, and so that's why it's so important that we get our cardio, that we expand, we get our chest going, we get things going, we get blood going through our heart, we get those valves that are moving all the time so they don't have a chance to start to slow and atrophy. Very important that we get some sort of cardio going every day. So if you're interested, we can go through a few exercises and I can jump right in. We can talk about some stuff. What are your thoughts, Hannah and Georgia? Can't I can't hear you, Hannah. You're on mute.
I love technology, don't you? Um, yeah, I think it would be helpful because obviously when we were in Liverpool, you didn't have any water there to do some of the suggestions that you had. So it might be worthwhile having that practical element, and it's different to what we would have presented before. So yeah, if you feel
That's lovely.
comfortable,
Can you see me on your camera, Brenda? You can see me? Okay. So what I'm gonna switch over to the other camera and we're gonna
shall
hope it's
I
good.
stop sharing the screen for now, Jim?
Um, yeah, you can
Presentation.
stop sharing the screen for now. That'd be perfect. Okay, so now we're on our other camera.
It's very technical. I mean, I managed to just work one camera, never mind more than one.
Move this over here so I can see.
And even doing the slides has been a challenge.
I don't make it a habit of undressing in front of women here, so all right, well, how's this? Can you see me here? I'm gonna move this over here. Okay, well, welcome to my office. This is where I go, and I guess I really want to stress the thing that really got me started on hot tubs back in the day was that I just found that when I had aches and pains, for our first thing is we go to the medicine cabinet. We go and get an Advil, we get a Tylenol, we get something that's going to have the effects. But those things take 30 to 40 minutes to kick in. And I found that when I was sore and I went to the pool, as soon as I went into the hot tub, my pain went away. It's instant. And that's what I love about it. It's just simply you can use this to avoid using so many analgesics. It's instant pain relief. But we're talking about some specific exercises that I want you to get started with. And really it's the same as all the in traditional methods. The squat is the most important muscle that we can do because it ties in so many parts of our joints, especially in AKU. It's with our glutes, the biggest muscle in our body. Actually, it's the glutes. It's with our quads. It's with our hip flexors. It's with our hip retractors. It ties everything in. And what's beautiful though is that you can use this to get your range of motion. So I do a sumo squat. It means my feet are turned a little bit apart, a little wide in shoulder stretcher. I'm just leaning back and I'm going down. And in this case, you see, I can go deeper and deeper, and I can work and stretch the tendons around my knees, the tendons around my hips. Now understand that I'm going straight down. My bump's always almost onto the ground here. And this is after 4 replacements. And then you just moving back up again. It's just a very simple thing. All we're targeting this right here. We go down. We're trying to keep balance, keep our ears. It's the best I can do with my spine. But then pushing here, pushing in here, and then back up again. And we do 10 of those. Very simple. Go up and down, up and down. Sometimes before a golf match, I'll sit here just in the squat position and I'll eat my cereal.
Jim, can I ask, could people who perhaps need assistance walking day to day, could they do a squat but assisted as in holding onto a side, for example, and doing it rather than just in the
Yeah,
water without assistance? Does that make sense? Could they do that?
you absolutely can. And that's one of the things that I love about working in the water is because since half your body weight is already taken, it's okay to do just one leg. So another exercise that you're talking about would be a split leg squat, or it's called a I forget what else to call it. But you see here, I'm tucking my leg up behind me, and it's on the stool. Positioning, my knee over my ankle, and I'm going down. So I have the opportunity for balance if I want, but right now I'm actually practicing my balance while strengthening one muscle in particular. And at the same time, I'm getting an absolute terrific stretch on the quadricep on this side. So the split leg squat is a beautiful exercise that is almost impossible for people with AKU to do on land, but in the water, we can do it quite simply. Just start off at a lower level, start waving water with chest high, work your way down through the range of motion. Breathe out as you go down. Breathing out empties out your lungs, allows your body to sink a little bit lower. Breathe in as you exercise and work the muscle, and then that's what activates and brings you back up again. So that's two really, really terrific exercises. Now, once you get comfortable with the sumo squat like this, I find this just to be a great position for us to just do other exercises like internal and external rotation. Internal and external rotation is so bad on our shoulders. We're going to just turn in and out. The motion is we want to have our elbows tucked into our body, and we're just moving in and out in this manner like this. Simply rotating this way with the water and pushing that water in both directions is wonderful for our rotator cuff for the whole shoulder girdle exercise. Those two exercises are, you're targeting everything in your body. It's targeting your strengthening and stretching the knees, the hips. You're keeping your central core, your back core is being engaged as well. And in these exercises, we're doing straight turns. We can make our squats a little bit harder if we want, simply by going down, scooping the water, bring the water up, bring the water up. But this is functional fitness. We have a screen coming up on this, but I want to tell you why this is so important. This is getting the laundry from the washer, putting it into the dryer. This is going down and picking up your baby and going. This is going down to pick up something off the ground. You can get that kind of flexibility in a warm water environment in 4 weeks. You're going to notice a significant difference. 6 weeks, you're going to wonder why you're so stiff to begin with. And it just takes a little bit of time, bouncing up and down. Sumo wrestlers, this is about the only exercise they do is these squats. I might add in a little bit of a kick like this, which is nice. Or the hip abductors. But it doesn't matter. You see, I'm getting my exercise in, no risk of falling. What's going to happen? I've got lots of contact, I've got lots of points, I'm still getting my exercises in. So I'm going to switch back to this camera. Now, Brenda, anything in particular that you would like to target? Anything that's bothering you?
Actually, I get very stiff. um, and it's motivating myself to do the exercises. I've got physio at the moment,
Right.
and it's just hard work.
Well, it is, but what else are we going to do with our day, right?
Yeah, well, I do use my arms a lot anyway. So I sort of say to myself, well, I am using them, perhaps not in quite the correct way.
No,
Have
but
you
you see,
tried
that's
water, Brenda, out of curiosity? Have you tried doing things in water?
A couple of years ago now, I don't know if they're still open. It was the spinal pool at Southport Hospital.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That was it was always up to your neck and really warm, but we did a lot of exercises under the water, and I found that very good. I should perhaps
It,
look back into going again.
well, and that's the thing. As soon as we get in the water, all sorts of great warm water, the blood flow goes to the periphery. We get looser, we get more subtle, we get more flexible. We can push our range of motions a little bit more. And as I said, I can't begin to. That's why I like the local pool. Is that also you're going to meet new friends. You're going to have a great story. You're going to say, "Oh, I got the black bone disease," and they're going to, "Oh, I've never heard of that." So, and uh, and so it gives you an opportunity to get sort of back involved into society, which is what I really really like about the local pool element.
Very good, actually. I used to teach swimming, and there was a
Amazing.
Okay.
cannot. I can only float on my back. My arms won't come out. To go swim on my front, the head won't go to breathe. So I can only go on my back and kick my legs up and down. I find it very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Miss it.
I know, and
The
for
exercise
me,
is good.
I certainly noticed every surgery I had added more
Yeah.
weight to my legs, and after a while, I was swimming with my legs down here because I have this titanium in me. So, as I said, we figured it out though. We overcome. I use a pull buoy, and I cut the legs off of a neoprene wetsuit that I had, and I wear those as shin guards, and that keeps my legs up on the. And I can swim.
But
I,
So,
I
it's
do
just
think
it.
it's good to have these suggestions though, Jim, because I can only obviously talk from my experience, but our local pool is based in a local gym. So
Mhm.
you can use the pool if you pay for it, but the lessons are associated to gym members. So if you want to use the pool, you can, but you wouldn't be able to take part in the aqua classes because they're part of the gym. And I
Right.
know that that can be the same for other places as well. So if you were going independently but have some of the tips that you've suggested, that means you could still go and use the facilities, but you wouldn't necessarily need to join the class if you weren't a member of that gym, for example. So I
Well,
know a few people talked to me about that after the session that we had, the international workshop we had in November. A few people spoke to me about that they had that frustration as well, that the classes belong to the gym and they're very expensive gyms, aren't they? Well, I don't know what they're like where you are, but they're extremely expensive here in the UK. So if you're a gym member, that's fine because you can go to all the classes that you want to and use the pool for free. But you can only pay to go and use the facilities. So having your suggestions might mean people could do some of them by themselves independently.
that would,
well, you know what I try with my hot tub yoga on Instagram is I'm trying to give more exercise and giving the thinking behind the exercises that you can do these independent, which is why I include doing it, on a lake shore or in the ocean as as an alternative. Simply walking down to whatever local body of water you have and doing some of those squats and starting off in deeper water and then progressively getting into shallower water, that is like adding more weights onto the bench when you go. As far as the cost is concerned, it's sort of one of those things where it's an investment in yourself.
Mhm.
We are almost at a situation, I believe, with this disease that we don't really have a choice. That we know we're going to have a bunch of surgeries, and I can, but we don't hear from our medical specialists is how important our fitness levels before our operation, and simply just being in in a state of mind where you're working on exercises that when you get to the post-operative stage, you're already in that mindset. So it's like, okay, now it's just a different set of muscles and different set of exercises that I'm working on. But you're starting off as someone who's already
yeah,
engaged in exercising.
yeah,
So I think it's a small lesson to have in yourself for I'm looking at our costs here. I think for the U they're paying about $14 a class um at the one pool that I was teaching at, and the other pool here it's about 10. So in your US that'd be about 5 to 10 pounds a session, I think, for a 45, 55 minute session. So yeah, it is a little bit dear, but if you go and you pay attention
yeah.
and maybe even ask your instructor afterwards, hey, I got this is what I'm working on. You'll find and get their own tools so you can just go and start doing this yourself. And it's a whole other cohort of people you meet outside of the class, just people you meet in the steam room and the hot tub. And it's just great meeting people.
Jim, you mentioned your Instagram. Could you just tell us what it is if people wanted to follow you to look at some of the exercises you suggest?
Yeah, for some reason, hot tub yoga, HOTTUBYOGA was available on both X and Instagram. So I and Threads. So yeah, you can follow me on there as well as Facebook. Starting to
Okay.
wind up my YouTube as well and trying to sort of have a more integrated social package because I enjoy doing it and I get just terrific feedback from it and you'll feel better. You'll feel in control. And that's I think that's
It's important. Yeah.
yeah. And it just helps us realize that we're not that we're not being defined by the disease. So I pretty much covered everything else in my slide deck, I think, Hannah. If you'd like to wind things up now. Of course, I would like to thank, I want to once again thank the AKU Society for the wonderful, wonderful advocacy they do for us. The fact that you can reach out to me over here in Canada and provide so much support is just absolutely incredible. Um,
Did you
I
want me
enjoy,
to carry on?
no, I think we pretty much covered everything, I think,
Okay,
on here. The slide deck will be available for everybody else, I believe, afterwards, anyways, and they can look at this in their own at their own speed.
that's fine. Yeah, we can share that with them. It's quite a large slide deck though, so I'm thinking maybe we
I can
will
shorten
get
it.
it. Yeah, maybe if you could, because I couldn't actually share it to myself. So I want to get it to the our website team to perhaps have it as a resource on there. So that would be really good.
Perfect.
What
Sure.
I just wanted to just double check was whether there's any other questions. Did you have any questions, Brenda or Pam?
Appreciate it actually because while you'd asked about using, say, a walker that I used to walk with, because I tend to, because of my spine, it's got a curve, and the more I walk, the more I lean if I don't use something to keep me upright. So it was good to think to use it to do the exercises with
Hmm.
when I've not got
Indeed,
water.
indeed, indeed, indeed.
That's something
Um,
I hadn't really thought about. I've used work surfaces, but not actually my walker, which would be quite good. I
Yeah.
could probably.
well, when you're using your walk, instead of thinking about using these small muscles right here, like your deltoids and that, you want to get the whole shoulder involved. And that's what's hard for us because as we get these, they get a little tighter. We just sort of want to just use the smaller muscles.
I will have a go at that. I've enjoyed it.
And
When I
and the only
finally
thing I
got
can
back,
ask you to do is keep thinking about those glutes, keep
yeah,
thinking of squeezing those back. And as you squeeze back, think about having your shoulders go back. And you'll find that you'll be less forward like this way. We can build these back muscles up actually very easy. It's just just through thought and purpose.
practice on those to keep me a bit more upright.
Absolutely.
Don't
But
want
you
to
hold shoulders so we avoid injury.
Jim,
the
this is a bit back to front, but I think our session didn't start recording and cut the beginning off. So I wonder if we could just end the session with a little bit about who you are, just for those people that will be watching the recording and we missed the beginning. So if you could just say a little bit about even like the fact that you used to be in the operating room and things like that. If we've got a few minutes, if you could just tack that onto the end, so that although it's a bit back to front, at least people watching it will know who's just done our session. That would be really useful. And Georgia and
No,
I will just do another introduction, but at the end, it's a bit back to front. But who it doesn't matter, I'm sure.
yeah, that's terrific. That's terrific. No, it just I like it, when we all take stock of our lives, I found myself uniquely qualified. That I had, I had this disease. I knew what to expect, and so I just started preparing myself mentally. My being diagnosed very early, my parents were told like don't go into contact sports, don't go into manual labor. So we avoided that. I got into sports that weren't involved in gravity, like swimming and water polo and I was also, ran for quite a while, but eventually that shut my back down. I had to quit that. I was working I ended up having a job working in orthopedics. So I had because we were making bone grafting, we were making implants for children with bone deformities. I spent a lot of time in the operating room working with surgeons, watching joint replacement surgeries. So I really became intimately familiar with what was going to happen. And of course, I'm lucky to know that for most joints, if it's cement retained, for example, that joint is as strong as it's ever going to be 5 minutes after surgery. And so that is something we need to know to give us encouragement that we can start working right away. We're not worried about the implants are going to fail if they're not going to set. No, these things are very, very reliable. They're incredibly robust. Get to work with them. Start loading them right off the bat. So, and I just and then of course I guess that's about it. I was fascinated by the human body right from the beginning. I was fascinated by aquatic exercises. Did not want to become a patient. I want to become an advocate, and that's what got me here. I mean, it's lovely talking to you all from my hot tub today.
Yeah, it's a very different session than I've ever run, which I love. Let's think outside the box. So
Thank you.
that to those that are watching this recording, we've just had Jim Fish, who is a certified national swim coach and certified aqua instructor, who also has, if you hadn't gathered already, AKU. So and he also came and spoke at our international patient workshop in November last year, and we wanted to have him come back again because lots of patients had more questions, but also didn't get to see the actual water-based activities, which is why we've gone ahead and done it a little differently this time and mixed a bit of practical and theory in, which we're very grateful for. And thank you so much for coming along, Jim. It's been really, really useful, and it's going to be a great resource to have on our YouTube channel and on our website for people. They can add you on Instagram as well. And I presume, if anyone has got any follow-up questions having watched this, are you okay for them to reach out and message you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
That'd be
great.
wonderful. Want to hear from everybody. That'd be terrific.
That's really great. Thank you. And just for those watching, I'm Hannah. I work at the AKU Society. I'm the head of patient welfare and support here. So one of my main key roles is to support our UK patients, but also very keen to try and get as much support out there to all of our community. So we're trying to do more virtual events. And yeah, and my colleague Georgia is also here as well.
Yes. Hi, I'm Georgia. I'm the AKU Society's Communications Officer, and I've been with the Society since May, so I'm still quite new, but very excited to be involved in this self-care campaign.
Thank you so much. I think we've just had somebody joining us last minute, so I'm just going to let them in to let them know that the session's finished. So whether or not the timing was wrong. Ivana, thank you for joining. Our session is actually just coming to an end. It started an hour ago. However, we have recorded the session and we're going to make it available on our YouTube and on our website sort of over the next coming weeks. So we will let you know via email that it's gone up, and you can certainly have a look at that and rewatch it and see the session. So I'm sorry that you've just joined at the end of that. And again, thank you to those that have come. Thank you to Jim and to Georgia for helping and creating this campaign. And for anyone who is watching this, there's another session that's coming tomorrow, and it's a motivational speaker called Campbell who's coming to talk to us about his journey. So do look out for that session as well.
Forward to it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
Thanks so
so much,
much, guys.
Georgia. Thanks for everyone for checking in today. Take care.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.